Hey everyone, welcome back to Match B2B Insights. I'm Brenda, and today I'm here with Benny Fluman, Daniel Weiss, and Brian Newman for a pretty timely conversation. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment for something important. As we're recording this, Israel is in an active war situation with Iran. A lot of our clients, partners, and friends are literally working between sirens, kids at home, and very real uncertainty. So wherever you are listening from, Israel, the US, Europe, anywhere, we're wishing you safety, resilience, and a calm, secure, and happy Purim for you and your families. And actually, that connects to today's topic: how you build resilience into your revenue system when the world is unstable. Not with more chaos and more activity, but with better signals and focus.
Yeah, when we talk about resilience for SMBs right now, especially Israeli SMBs selling globally, it's not motivational talk. It's how do you protect your team's limited energy and still grow in a messy environment. That's where signals come in. In B2B, you're surrounded by noise, clicks, impressions, likes, random demo requests. Signals are the specific behaviors or events that actually tell you something meaningful about buying, risk, or expansion.
And we can slice those into a few buckets. You've got behavioral signals, things people do, website visits, content consumed, email replies. You've got account level signals, funding, hiring, leadership changes. Product signals, trial usage, logins, feature adoption. And then external signals, regulations, market moves, even, sadly, wars and supply issues.
From the SDR side, what I see is people confusing more activity with progress. More emails, more LinkedIn messages, more dials. In 2026, that's not a strategy. That's a way to burn out a team in 3 months. Signals are basically, who actually deserves my time this week? Not in a philosophical way, in a calendar way. Who do I research? Who do I call first? Who do I leave alone?
So for anyone new to Match B2B and what we do, our whole lens is that revenue is infrastructure. It's something you design. It's not just campaigns and let's try this sequence. When we go into a company, we're looking at how do we wire signals across marketing, SDR, sales, and CS so that you cut waste, reduce randomness, and keep everyone focused on the right accounts and deals, especially when the macro situation is shaky.
Exactly. And I want to stress something for the CEOs listening. This is not about buying 10 more tools. It's about deciding which 10 to 15 signals you will respect as a company. When they happen, you react. When they don't, you don't pretend.
And that's a big mindset shift from more activity to better decisions. Your CRM, your LinkedIn, your AI tools, they're all just infrastructure to route signals and trigger good actions.
So today, we'll walk through how the modern buying reality actually looks, how we structure signals across the journey, how to operationalize them in CRM and LinkedIn, how AI fits, and we'll ground it in examples from SaaS, cyber, manufacturing, and fintech. All right, let's start with the hard truth about how B2B buying actually works in 2026. So Benny, set the stage. What does modern B2B buying actually look like from the buyer side, not the CRM side?
The short version? You see about 30% of what's really happening, maybe less. Buying groups today are bigger, more invisible, and mostly digital. A lot of the journey is happening in internal Slack channels, private WhatsApp groups, and offline conversations you never see.
In the CRM, it looks like one contact filled a form, 2 people opened an email, someone clicked a LinkedIn ad. In reality, there might be 8 to 12 stakeholders: IT, finance, security, operations, legal. Half of them will never touch your website with their corporate email. They're reading screenshots someone pasted internally.
And from the seller side, what most teams still do is look at vanity metrics. We had 10,000 website sessions, 500 likes on LinkedIn. Okay, and which 5 companies moved a step closer to making an actual decision? A lot of SDR workflows are still generic. Sequence 1, sequence 2, 10 touches no matter what. They treat a single ebook download like a strong buying signal. It's not. That's a weak signal. Maybe curiosity. Maybe boredom. Maybe your competitor downloading your stuff.
Daniel, you talk a lot about misreading weak signals. What does that look like practically?
Yeah, a classic example. Someone visits a pricing page once. That's interesting, but not a guarantee of intent. A strong signal would be 3 pricing visits in a week, plus a security page visit, plus multiple people from the same domain comparing plans. That's a buying group doing homework. The hard truth is that many SMBs treat any detectable activity as gold because they don't have a structure to differentiate signal strength. So they chase everything. The result? Bloated, active pipeline, very low close rates, and exhausted teams.
When we enter an SMB, we often see this pattern. Marketing is proud. Look at all this traffic. Look at our MQLs. Sales is frustrated. None of this closes. The CRM is crowded. The funnel slides look full. But if you ask, show me the last 50 accounts where we had truly hot, multi-threaded signals and how we reacted, it gets very quiet.
Yeah, or they can't tell you who owns which signal. Someone clicked a case study. Is that marketing's job? SDR's job? Nobody's job? So what happens? Nothing happens. Or the wrong thing happens 3 weeks too late.
And I think what's important here is this isn't because people are lazy. It's because the system is fuzzy. No clear rules, no shared definition of what a strong signal is, or how a buying group actually behaves from first touch to signature. So in the next part, we'll break down the journey into stages: early, mid, late, and post-sale, and talk about what real signals look like in each, and which ones you should stop obsessing over. All right, let's get concrete. Buyer journey stages: awareness, consideration, decision, and then post-sale. Daniel, kick us off with early stage signals.
Early stage is awareness. These are lightweight touches. Someone from an account reads a thought leadership article, follows your company on LinkedIn, maybe watches the first 30 seconds of a webinar recording, or an executive likes a post about a problem you solve. These are weak signals individually. But if you see multiple early signals from the same account over, say, 30 to 60 days, that becomes a pattern worth watching.
Mid-stage, consideration, is where they start actually comparing options. Examples: downloading product-specific content, revisiting your site a few times a week, booking a demo, asking detailed questions, joining a live webinar and staying till the end, or multiple people from the same company connecting with your team on LinkedIn. Those are stronger. And if I see a champion repeatedly commenting on our posts, and then their colleague visits the pricing page, that's a great moment for targeted outreach.
Late stage decision is where the stakes go up. Strong signals here: security reviews, legal red lines, POC or pilot requests, adding more users to a trial, very specific pricing questions, internal forwarding of proposals. Also, urgent timing triggers. We have to decide before end of quarter or before our current contract renews. Then there's post-sale, expansion and risk. People forget this. Expansion signals: new teams asking for access, more usage in a specific region, leadership asking for ROI reports. Risk signals: declining logins, support tickets with "we're evaluating alternatives", delayed renewals, a champion leaving on LinkedIn.
And inside each stage, we separate strong versus weak and primary versus secondary signals. A primary signal is something that alone could justify action, like a POC request. A secondary signal needs context, like one blog view. Negative signals matter just as much as positive intent. For example, repeated no-shows to calls, legal stalling with no clear reason, or procurement going silent after internal reorg. Those are signals that forecast stall or loss.
Yeah, and SDRs hate hearing this, but sometimes the best reaction to a signal is to slow down or pause. If they just had a major layoff, that's an external negative signal. Maybe you don't push a big expansion right now, you reposition, or you stay close without being tone deaf.
So how do we make this manageable and not a giant wall of sticky notes?
We frame it with clients as a signal map, not a funnel chart. A funnel chart says lead, MQL, SQL, opportunity. It tells you nothing about what actually happened. A signal map says, at each stage, here are 3 to 5 key signals we care about. For each one, we know how strong it is, who owns it, and what the default reaction should be.
All right, let's talk about how we actually build that map. How we go from buyer journey to a concrete signal catalog that an SMB can run with, even on a basic CRM. Benny, walk us through the Match B2B approach. Day 1, you come into an SMB. How do you move from we have a funnel to we have a signal catalog?
We start very unsexy. Step 1. Map the real buyer journey for each ICP and deal type. So if you sell to mid-market SaaS and also to enterprise banks, that's at least 2 distinct journeys. We sit with sales, SDR, marketing, sometimes customer success, and ask, in the last 10 closed-won deals, what actually happened, step by step? We are not talking about CRM stages. We are talking about human events. CTO asked for references. Procurement joined. Security raised X concern.
Step 2. We align those events with systems. Which ones can we see in HubSpot, Salesforce, Pipedrive? Which ones exist only in email, LinkedIn, or people's heads? Which are offline? Site visits, distributor conversations? Then step 3. For each journey stage, we pick 3 to 5 critical signals, not 50. For awareness, maybe. Repeated visits from same domain, key persona follows the company on LinkedIn, first exec meeting booked. For decision, maybe. Security checklist requested, contract red line returned. Executive sponsor joins the call.
Step 4 is where it becomes a catalog, not just a list. For every signal, we define a clear description, the owner, and the default action. So for pricing page visited 3x in 7 days by same account, owner is SDR, action is research account, send tailored email referencing use case X, then LinkedIn touch within 24 hours. If nobody owns a signal, it's just trivia. If there's no default action, people improvise, which is code for sometimes we do something, sometimes we don't.
And I want to pause on something. This doesn't require a giant tech stack. A lot of SMBs hear catalog and think they need a CDP, 10 dashboards, AI everywhere.
Yeah, no. You can do a first version with a spreadsheet and the basic CRM. Use simple properties or tags to track, and a shared Google Sheet listing signals, definitions, owners, and actions. Tools help later, but the structure is thinking work, not software work.
Exactly. What we bring is discipline and clarity, not magic. We force trade-offs. If everything is a signal, nothing is. We'd rather you start with 15 very clear signals across the journey and nail them than 80 you'll never operationalize.
Okay, so we've got the journey and the signal catalog. Next question. How do we decide which accounts or contacts are actually priority today? That's where scoring and triggers come in. Daniel, give us the simple scoring model you like using with clients.
We keep it very straightforward. Recency, frequency, depth, and fit. Recency. How recently did the signal occur? Frequency. How often is it happening? Depth. How serious is the action? Reading a blog versus requesting a POC. Fit. Does this account match your ICP in terms of industry, size, tech stack, etc.? You can literally score 1 to 3 on each dimension and sum it up. High fit plus recent plus frequent plus deep actions, that's a top priority account.
And then we convert scores and signals into triggers. A trigger is just a rule. When X and Y happen within Z time frame, do action A. For example, if an ICP fit account visits pricing 3 times in 10 days and a second persona from that domain downloads a case study, create an SDR task and send an internal Slack alert. Another, if an active customer's usage drops 40% over 30 days and they open a support ticket with performance in the subject, CSM calls within 24 hours.
Benny, where do you see teams overcomplicating this?
Oh, everywhere. First mistake, over-engineering scores so nobody trusts them. You don't need 57 different weights where clicked email is 1.7 points and downloaded PDF is 2.3. People stop understanding the logic. Second mistake, ignoring qualitative context. Maybe the account has perfect score, but you know from a conversation they just froze budgets. The system should not override human judgment blindly.
The third mistake is subtle. No do-nothing rules. Not every signal deserves action. For instance, a single blog view from a non-ICP country. That's interesting but not operational. If you don't define what to ignore, people chase everything and complain the system creates too much noise.
Yeah, I always tell SDR teams, a good scoring and trigger setup should remove work as well as create it. If done right, you know who not to email this week, and that's just as valuable.
So, simple model. Recency, frequency, depth, fit. Clear triggers that say, if this, then that, plus explicit ignore rules. Next, let's talk about how all this lives inside your CRM, LinkedIn, and the rest of your go-to-market stack, so it's not just theory. Daniel, take us into the plumbing. How do we actually capture signals and connect them into HubSpot, Salesforce, Pipedrive, whatever a team is using?
We start with first-party data, what you already own. Website behavior via tracking pixels, email engagement from your marketing platform, webinar attendance, and, if you have a product, in-app usage. Those should flow into your CRM as properties on contacts and accounts. Last visit date, pages viewed, trial status, active users. Tools like HubSpot and Salesforce already support this. Pipedrive can do a lot with integrations or basic custom fields. You don't need perfection. You just need your 10 to 15 key signals visible on the record.
Then there's LinkedIn, which is huge for SDRs and marketing. For signals, I'm watching things like target personas changing jobs, new leadership hires, people posting about pains we solve, engagement with our company or team posts, joining relevant groups. We bake that into playbooks. For example, if a champion is promoted, send a congrats LinkedIn message and open a task to discuss expansion in the next QBR. Or, if a target CISO starts posting about a new regulation, we comment with insight and then reach out with a tailored angle.
What about supporting tools? Intent data providers, enrichment, sequencing?
We like a few critical tools philosophy. Maybe an intent data provider if you sell to bigger markets, enrichment tools to keep firmographics clean, and a good sequencing tool so SDRs can act on triggers consistently. But each tool must be tied to specific signals and actions. No orphan tools.
Yeah, when we enter a company with 15 tools, usually half of them are data sources nobody uses. Tools should reinforce your signal map. If a tool can't point to which 2-3 signals it helps you capture or act on better, it's probably noise.
And from a day-to-day perspective, SDRs shouldn't have to log into 5 systems. The CRM and maybe LinkedIn should be their primary workspaces. Triggers create tasks, enrichment fills gaps, but the workflow feels simple. Open your queue, see the signal, follow the playbook.
Okay, so now we have signals flowing into the CRM and LinkedIn with a clean-ish stack. Next step is making those signals more actionable and intelligent with AI, without letting the robots run wild. Daniel, you live at that intersection of infrastructure and AI. Where does AI actually help with signals? And where do you keep it on a leash?
Good way to frame it. AI is great at 3 things here: prioritization, pattern detection, and first draft creation. For prioritization, AI can look at dozens of signals across accounts and suggest which 10 accounts are most likely to move this week. It's just a smarter scoring layer. For pattern detection, it can surface combinations humans miss, like deals that close fast tend to have this sequence of signals within 21 days. That can refine your signal map over time.
On the first draft side, AI can read the account's activity, pages visited, LinkedIn posts, emails, and suggest a personalized outreach message that references the actual trigger. Saw you were comparing pricing and reading our manufacturing case study. That saves SDRs a ton of time. But, big but, SDRs still need to edit. If they just copy-paste whatever the model gives them, you'll feel it in the replies.
Benny, how are we using AI inside workflows without replacing human judgment?
We embed AI as an assistant, not a manager. For example, summarizing last 90 days of account signals into a short brief before a call. Suggesting next best action options, call, email, LinkedIn, based on signal patterns. Drafting a first version of a follow-up email after a demo. But the human decides, is this the right moment to push or to wait? Is this the right angle given what they said on the call? AI doesn't own quota. People do.
Risks are very real. Automating bad logic, like triggering sequences of weak signals, just means you can spam faster. Hallucinated insights, AI guessing that someone is ready to buy because of vague behavior. And then there's governance. Who's allowed to change prompts? Who approves automated messaging?
I'm also seeing teams forget SDR reality. You can't give SDRs a 20-step AI workflow that feels like a science project. It has to be open CRM, read AI summary, tweak the suggested message, send. 60 to 90 seconds, not 10 minutes.
So AI is there to make signals more usable, not to invent signals, and not to replace the judgment of the people actually talking to buyers. With that in mind, let's talk about what happens the moment a signal fires. How do teams actually respond? Brian, this is your playground. A signal fires. Say, someone hits the pricing page 3 times. What does a good playbook look like?
First, we define who moves. For pricing page, usually SDR if it's pre-opportunity, AE if there's already an active deal. Then we define timing, ideally within 24 hours, often same day. Then channel. If we have phone and email, we call and follow up with email. If LinkedIn is active, we add a touch there too. The content has to reference the signal, not, hey, just checking in, but I noticed you were comparing pricing. Teams like yours usually ask about X and Y. Happy to walk through options so you don't overpay for features you don't need.
For trial activation in SaaS, a playbook might say, CSM or product specialist sends a short welcome video, offers a 15-minute onboarding, and sets up in-app tips. If the user invites teammates within 48 hours, that's a second signal. SDR or AE reaches out to discuss use cases.
POC request or security review, that's late stage. Here, the playbook is more about orchestration. Legal, security, AE, maybe even leadership. You might have a checklist. Send security docs, schedule a technical deep dive, align on success criteria. And you treat delays or silence as signals too. If they go quiet after getting the paperwork, the AE has a very specific re-engagement script.
LinkedIn engagement is another one. If a target decision maker comments meaningfully on your post, the playbook might be reply publicly with value, then send a non-pushy DM connecting that comment to a relevant case study or question.
And we don't just write these in a doc and hope for the best. Benny, talk about how we work with teams to make these real.
We role play. We literally sit with SDRs, AEs, CSMs, and say, okay, signal. Champion visits pricing. You have 30 seconds. What do you say on the call? What do you write on LinkedIn? We refine until it feels natural, not robotic or aggressive. We also build short libraries of snippets in the CRM or sequencing tool that are tied to specific signals. So you are not reinventing the wheel every time. You are choosing the right template and customizing it.
All right, we've been speaking a bit abstractly. Let's ground this in different industries, SaaS, cyber, manufacturing, fintech, and show how signals look different, but the methodology stays the same. Let's do a quick tour. Brian, start with SaaS and PLG.
In SaaS, especially product-led growth, signals are heavily product usage-based. Trial started, user completes key setup steps, enables teammates, enables integrations, hits usage thresholds. Strong signals. A team invites more than, say, 5 users within a week, or a manager role logs in and configures permissions. We build triggers like, if trial account hits feature X 3 times in 7 days and has more than Y users, SDR reaches out with a tailored upgrade path. Expansion signals. new department joins the workspace, or usage spikes in a new geography.
Cybersecurity looks different. Long POCs, complex stakeholders, security, IT, compliance, sometimes board level. Key signals: security teams asking for very detailed documentation, starting internal pen tests, scheduling multiple technical sessions. External signals, like upcoming compliance deadlines, are huge. They can turn a stalled deal into a must-move project. Partner referrals are important late-stage signals too. When a trusted MSSP or integrator loops you in, likelihood goes up significantly.
Manufacturing and industrial. This is fun, because many signals are offline. RFPs arriving, plant visits scheduled, distributor feedback, support tickets about aging equipment, even someone requesting a physical catalog at a trade show. We help these companies digitize that. Log plant visits as specific signals in CRM. Tag support tickets with upgrade potential. Capture distributor notes as structured fields. Then triggers. If support logs 3 breakdown tickets on the same line in 6 months, sales is notified to discuss modernization. Or, if distributor flags competitor bid, AE runs a targeted save play.
And fintech?
Fintech is very sensitive to macro and regulatory signals. New regulations, new market launches, funding rounds, mergers, all of these can be triggers. If a bank announces expansion into a new region and you support that region, that's a campaign trigger. If a startup raises a Series B and you sell payments infrastructure, that's a strong growth signal.
We'll build plays like, if a company in our ICP announces funding and hires a head of finance, create a high-priority sequence tailored to their stage and likely needs. Again, same framework, different signals.
So the message is, your signal map will look different by industry, but the structure, stages, 3 to 5 key signals, owners, triggers, stays consistent. Let's bring this home now to the Israeli SMB reality. What we see on the ground, and how you actually know you're winning with a signal-based engine. Benny, describe the typical Israeli pattern you see when you walk into a company for the first time.
Strong tech, strong opinions, and a lot of hustle. You have amazing products, very aggressive outreach, feature-heavy demos, but process and data discipline, often weak. Funnels full of maybe, CRMs full of will update later. People run on gut, not signals. We saw one company like that, anonymous of course. They had a spray and pray outbound, tons of pilots, very little structure. Pipeline looked big, but close rates were low and everyone was exhausted.
Contrast that with another company we worked with that agreed to build a signal-based engine. Over 6-12 months, they defined clear ICPs, mapped the buyer journeys, built a small signal catalog, operationalized it in their CRM, and aligned SDR, marketing, and CS around it. What changed? Fewer random deals in pipeline, more clarity on which accounts to push, faster reaction to real buying signals, and much lower stress. They weren't chasing ghosts.
From the SDR perspective, the difference is night and day. In the first company, reps were doing a ton of activity with very little feedback loop. In the second, they knew, these are my top 30 accounts this week. Here are the specific signals they showed. Here's exactly how I'm supposed to react. It's not easier work, but it's cleaner work.
For listeners, let's give a simple 90-day roadmap and some KPIs to know you're improving.
First 90 days, pick one ICP and one main deal type. Map the buyer journey. Define 3 to 5 signals per stage. Decide owners and default actions. Implement a basic view in your CRM to surface these signals. Start tracking 3 KPIs, signal to opportunity rate, average response time per key signal, and false positive rate, how many hot signals never progress.
Over 6 to 12 months, layer on. Simple scoring, a few clear triggers, maybe 1 or 2 AI assistants for summaries and drafting. Add a KPI for incremental pipeline from signal-based plays specifically, and monitor win rates on deals that followed your playbooks versus random deals.
If your signal to opportunity rate is going up, response times are going down, and your team feels less chaotic, you're winning. Even if the macro environment is rough, your system is getting sharper.
All right, we're going to wrap. Benny, Daniel, Brian. Thanks for going deep, but keeping it practical.
Always fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Pleasure as always.
To everyone listening, especially our friends and clients in Israel right now, we know these are not simple days. Our hope is that building signal-based, disciplined revenue systems can give you more control and less chaos, even when the outside world is unstable. We're wishing you safety, strength, and a calm, secure, and happy Purim for you, your teams, and your families. From all of us at Match B2B, Benny, Daniel, Brian, and me, Brenda, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next episode.